Hello, it is Robin Whitford here from Hooking Outside the Lines, and I am going to do a video today to show you how I make these little punch needle pieces. I'm using a fine Oxford punch needle, number 13 or 14. I'll show you what that looks like. And I'm also doing something a little bit different than I normally do. I am using the flat side of the punched piece as my finished side. If you're totally unfamiliar with punch needle, usually the loopy side, the part we make loops, this side, is the part that we want to make as pretty as possible because the loops would be, again, if we were making a traditional rug, they would be on the floor and they would be the part that you step on and that feels good in your toes. But in these pieces, we are just sort of playing with the flat side, almost like an embroidery. And so we're not worried about the loopy side. That will be against the wall. It will not be visible. It is just part of the process of creating with a punch needle that you're going to get those loops no matter what. So we are going to use the 13 or 14, as I mentioned. I will put that over there. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here is my number 13 Oxford punch needle. And if you don't know, if you happen to have one in your drawer, or you bought it a long time ago, or somebody gave you one, you're like, I'm not sure what size I have. If it has an eyelet at the top, unless somebody has altered it, the eyelets were only put in or are only put in by the Oxford company on the fine Oxford needles. So if it's an eyelet, it's a fine needle, and you will find the number of them, the older ones. So if somebody's handed it down or it's been in your drawer, let's see if you can see it. It's imprinted in the wood here and it says number 13. The newer ones, they have etched it on the metal part. Now, again, this one is a fancy wood. It's called Symphony, and they're super fun, but they are the exact same. And they have them etched here, and it says 13F, meaning 13 fine. So both these needles are the same. One just has the fancier wood. Now, a number 13, if you're wondering, what does that mean? These are all the 5 fine Oxford needles in the fancy wood. And the number 13 is a 3/16 of an inch loop or a 5 millimeter loop. That means the finished loop is that high. The higher the shaft, the higher the loop goes from a 1/2 inch all the way down to a 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters. For this purpose, I really like the 13 or 14. I grabbed my 13 in the wood and started, so that's what we're going to use. If you get a kit from me, either one of these, I would recommend 13 or 14. Any longer, you're just making longer loops on the back. Nobody's seeing them. It just uses up extra wool. For this project, you do not want the regular ones because the yarn I've chosen, if you're getting a kit again, is the fine yarn. And so the regular size, the main difference, just to show you between the two here, is the thickness of the shaft. So these are for a rug weight yarn or bulky weight, or even a wool strip. You can use your regulars for that. So in these kits, I do include instructions, a photo. Again, these are inspired by Maud Lewis paintings, and some of the instructions here on how to thread it and finish it and punch it. You get all the yarn and then some. So again, these yarns, this particular yarn in this one kit is Heritage by Briggs and Little. It's 100% wool. It punches beautifully and fits perfectly in our number 13 or 14 fine needles, or any of the fine needles for that matter. Some of my kits will also include Violet Jane wool yarn, which is again also 100% wool and beautiful to punch with, perfect for any of your fine punch needles. So now to thread our needles, the front of our needle is the opening. So think of that as your front. The back side is where we're going to thread. So our front of our needle, our eyelets at the back, we are going in from the back through there, and then over through the front of our needle to the back. So back to front, front to back. We are threading it through the channel or the eye of the needle there. And we're just going to pull it back and forth, laying it on top here of that open channel. And you kind of just pull down and it magically pops in. It is not hard. You don't need other threaders. And just pull it back until you have under an inch. Once you get really good, you want to use less because that is an extra tail. We call it the tail. It will get cut off anyway. So you don't want to have long tails and waste your wool yarn. Now I have started a little bit on this kit. These frames, my husband makes the frames and we stretch linen over them just because the linen is really pretty. You'll see me usually use monk's cloth in other videos. If none of the backing is showing, monk's cloth is my preferred, but for these, I really like the look of the linen showing because you can't punch obviously where the frames are. So we're just punching the inside and these will be visible. There's a variety. These are 10-inch ones, so the whole frame is 10 inches. And we are going to punch, and I'm going to put my different camera on so you can see exactly what I'm doing and watch and learn, I guess you could say. So I'm move that out of the way. So some of the key things when you are learning to punch for the first time, you need no tension on your yarn, meaning if this is caught on anything or if you're holding it and your yarn is not freely flowing, excuse me, through your needle, it is not going to make loops the way you want. So again, you want it to be free flowing and just sliding through your needle. When you start to punch, you always, always, always punch all the way down until the wood hits your linen in the backing. Now, these come pre-stretched, so I'm not going to explain that process. You're going to leave your finished piece on the frame, just so you know, in case there's a question mark. So punch all the way down till it hits the wood. When you come up, you are just coming up enough to get the tip of your needle out, and you're scooching along about every other hole for this purpose because this is going to be our finished side. And punch all the way down. Our opening is our front. It is heading the direction we are going about every other hole. And yes, go diagonally. When you see me turn, you see me turn the needle. You can also turn your frame if that's more comfortable. And I'm turning again because I'm following the shape. It might be a little hard to see in the camera, but there is a drawn tulip on here. And I'm just going to keep going. You'll see I will punch quick. You do not need to. I have practiced many times, so I know how high to pull my needle without it pulling out. If you pull out too high, you're going to see you're going to pull out your previous stitches, your previous loops, and get really frustrated. So don't do that. All the way down and come up just enough to get the needle out. And ideally, you want to aim to have like laying brickwork. It is a little tricky when you're going into a little space like this, but you want to alternate your stitches so that, yes, you want them touching because you don't want any of your backing showing, but you want them to kind of line up like bricks. I will show you a close-up of this one. They're not perfectly lined up, and that just gives you a nice coverage. It's not the end of the world if they don't always do that. Now, I've basically filled in where I want that tulip, and I'm like, where do I go? So we are going to pull out our needle very slowly, just until the tip of it comes out. Then I'm going to pinch because I'm going to grab the yarn, because if I don't grab it, I'm just going to pull out what I've done there. I held it so that it is sort of safe and secure, and now I'm cutting it. And now you can see, and I'll do it so that you can see maybe better here. I have my two little tails. I'm going to take the tip of my scissors. You could do an empty needle as well. And we're going to push the tails to the back because we don't want them visible from the front. We want them on the back side, as you can see here, and pop out. We can trim them later. It is totally fine. Um, but we want them hidden from our finished side. And basically, that is the stitch that you are going to do over and over and over to fill in the whole thing. I will show you some more though. Let's see, what other color? Oh, where's another one? There is another tulip. We could do one there. Let's do a different color just to make sure you can see it well. You can untwist. Here we go. We are going to do a little pink nose and some pink flowers. Again, I just threaded it through the back of the eyelet, through the open front of my needle, pulling it through, laying it on top, and pulling it back until it pops into the channel. Now, see, this is a little bit short, so I will pull it back so that I have enough yarn there when I go in. We're going to go in this little cute pink nose, and we'll deal with that tail after. Again, about every other hole for this purpose. We would have different stitch gauge if we were doing actual carpet for the floor or for using the loopy side. I will teach that another time, or you can always go to my class. I have a self-paced class. So here we go again. I'm actually holding it at the bottom this time instead of the top. And I just kind of went around until um, I covered with loops the nose. And we're going to do the little mouth underneath as well. And that is just going to be one line. Now she has a bit of a frown here. And I'll show you what. So you can always change that if you want to. You could make it a smiley cat. Now, there's a little spot here that I don't know if you're going to be able to see well. I want to put that little line in between the nose. So I'm going to punch down and always do 3 punches when you have a little spot here, because 2 punches will not be secure enough. It'd be too easy for it to fall out. So I just put in little punches and you have all these tails, and it is going to look funny on the back while you start this process. That is totally normal for this. And again, look, I'm just looking over here at the photo. If you want to change things up and you want to do a different color nose or put pink in the ears, that is your choice. These are just suggestions, and these are the colors that come with it, but there's always free will in these patterns. Now, for some of these pink flowers at the top, I just want to do little dots, and I'm going to show you how to do dots. So you know how to do the filling in, you know how to do lines. Let's say in this little bunch here, we are just going to do some little dots. So we punch in once, punch in again, and then I'm turning my needle back and punching like a little triangle. And I'm going to hold it in the back, trim it, and I'm going to push that tail. You can use your scissors, and sometimes I just pull it right through. See how tiny that is? That is basically like a little triangle. I went in one hole, went in another hole, and came back that hole. And on the back, you're going to see that's the dot we just made. It just created one loop and 2 tails. It looks silly right now, but it'll be fine. We can fill in all of it as we go until it is completely covered. And I can show you, I probably didn't do it on this one. But you can see the stitches that I made for this one too. You know, we kind of do our every other hole, and you one line, sometimes there are two. These were just one lines as well. And you just keep filling it in until you are happy with your design. Now, looking at the back, when you have all of these tails and you are all done, I normally don't do this until my whole thing is covered. I gently hold the tails one at a time and then rest my scissors on the top of the loops and snip it to the same height as the loops. So I'm just cutting those little tails off, just so they don't look too terrible on the back. These I'm going to wait until I have loops around them, because it's too easy to accidentally cut too low. And if you cut too low, you risk them popping out on this side. If that ever happens, you have your punch needle and you just need to punch it back in. And again, any of these, if you're like, oh, I changed my mind, I'm just going to grab that, pull it out and do something else. Save your yarn, rethread your needle and punch it again. I'm going to show you as well some of the things that come in these kits. So again, you get your pre-stretched linen, you get all of the yarns, more than enough to do this. You do need a needle, and that doesn't come in the kit, because once you have one needle, you can use many kits or many different projects. So I do recommend, like I said, number 13 or 14 fines for these, and they are sold separately. And once you have one, again, you can use it for many. I do want to show you quickly on this one. It is a little bit different. This one, the loops are on the front. So I actually punched from the back. And because I wanted this side to be my sort of pretty side, my nice side, spacing is important when we're dealing with loops. Because if you have overcrowded loops, they're going to get a little bit wonky in height. And so with this type of yarn and with this space, or with this needle and this backing, because all those things are variables depending. But on this one, I basically go in every hole, but every other row. And that is why you are seeing the the linen showing through every hole, every other row. And you get this nice, even finish on it. You can see it's nice and smooth on the top, but you work from this side. So just something to keep in mind depending on the kit. Again, the instructions come with both for the different options. These ones are all of the smooth. And I have 10-inch frames and I have 8-inch frames, and the design is just a little bit different in each one. And so if you are ordering, to pay attention to that so that you get the size that you want. And I'm just going to show a close-up of this as well so you can see. Sometimes they're just like that 3 pokes, which makes the little dot. Sometimes they're a little bit more, and you go in various directions. It kind of is like a fingerprint or handwriting. Everybody's going to do it a little bit differently, and that's okay. There is no right or wrong. If you get the coverage that you like, the design, obviously, and the colors that you like, then you are doing it right. You don't have to worry about the backside for these because that's not going on display. It is just the finished side. So again, these are the bit bigger ones. Um, and if you have any questions, you can always send me a note or an email and ask away. Send me a picture. It's very helpful. So if you want your own, hookingoutsidethelines.com and go under kits or supplies and kits. These are there. If I'm out for some reason and you're looking for one in particular, let me know and I will hopefully be able to make more for you. So thanks again. I'm Robin from Hooking Outside the Lines, and I wish you happy punching.